An endless blue mirror stretches across the globe. It reflects the sky and covers an expanse so vast it defies human comprehension. This is the Pacific Ocean. It spans over 165 million square kilometers. This area is larger than all Earth's landmasses combined. Maps and numbers fail to capture its true reality. The Pacific is not just a body of water. It is an entire world of its own. It is a second planet hidden beneath the waves. The journey begins on the sunlit surface. Here, coral reefs shimmer like underwater glass gardens. Microscopic plankton drift along powerful currents. Vast schools of fish surge forward. They feed the predators of the open sea. Tuna, sharks, and dolphins rule this upper kingdom. Great whales migrate thousands of miles across this watery expanse. From the smallest microbe to the largest animal, everything is connected. They operate within a perfect biological machine. Humanity is only beginning to understand this network. But the Pacific is also a vault of terrifying mysteries. Beneath its calm surface lie countless unnamed species. They are creatures born from a dark imagination. Ancient survivors have endured millions of years of change. They witnessed mass extinctions that erased other life. Vast swaths of this ocean remain completely unexplored. These are the blank spaces on our modern maps, places where human curiosity has never dared to tread. More than a treasure, this ocean is Earth's giant green lung. Every wave and reef helps regulate our global climate. The Pacific produces half of the oxygen humanity breathes. It sustains us in ways we constantly forget. To dive into its depths is to leave our world behind. The surface light rapidly begins to fade. Within the first 200 meters, 90% of sunlight vanishes. The water turns from turquoise to a cold, muted twilight. In this twilight zone, temperatures plunge toward freezing. The hydrostatic pressure begins its steady, relentless climb. This is the border of a dark empire. Terrestrial rules no longer apply here. Bioluminescent lanternfish emit faint flashes to locate mates. Elongated predators wait silently in the shadows. Every movement is calculated. Every spark of energy is a matter of survival. At 500 meters, the weight of the water is immense. It exerts a crushing force on any human structure. Yet life persists. It adapts in ways that defy our scientific laws. The boundary between light and darkness is a physical wall. It is a threshold where our understanding of biology fractures. Below this twilight border lies the midnight zone. It is a realm of absolute blackness. No sunlight has touched these waters for billions of years. This is the unmapped void of the Pacific. It is an empire of pressure, cold, and endless secrets. The seabed drops into jagged, bottomless trenches. Volcanic fissures release mineral-rich, superheated water. Underwater mountain ranges rise up to 10 kilometers high. They are hidden giants shaping the planet's destiny. To look into this abyss is to face the ultimate unknown. Are we truly ready to uncover what lies in the dark? Or are some secrets best left buried beneath the waves? Turning away is easy. It allows us to maintain our comfortable ignorance. But the call of the deep cannot be ignored. The water grows colder. The silence becomes absolute. The pressure settles against the skin like a physical hand. Every meter descended is a step back in evolutionary time. We are traveling to the very cradle of life. We are leaving the world of light behind. The darkness is not empty. It is watching. It is waiting. The descent continues into the great silent void. Humanity's presence here is fragile and fleeting. Our modern vessels are mere toys against this ancient force. The deep sea does not forgive mistakes. It demands absolute submission from those who enter. The explorer feels a deep, quiet dread. It is the realization of our own insignificance. The blue planet hides its true face. We must push further into the gloom. The journey plunges deeper into the true dark. The twilight zone dissolves into the midnight zone. Here, the ocean reveals its jagged teeth. These are the Haddle Trenches. They are massive chasms carved into the crust of the Earth. The first destination is the Tonga Trench. It is the second deepest abyss on the planet. This massive canyon plunges over 10,800 meters below the waves. It is a place of absolute darkness and immense geological violence. The Pacific Plate slides beneath the Indo-Australian Plate here. This collision forces the seabed into a steep, terrifying drop. The water weight is 1,000 times greater than its sea level. The temperature hovers just above the freezing point of water. Yet this black wilderness is not empty. Life has conquered even this hostile frontier. Baited traps dropped into the trench return, teeming with activity. The dominant species here is the scavenger crustacean, Hirundellea dubia. These small, pale creatures swarm by the thousands in the darkness. They possess an incredible evolutionary design. The species exhibits a clear vertical pattern of survival. Juveniles inhabit the shallower zones of the trench walls. They remain higher up to avoid fierce competition. The mature adults descend to the very bottom of the trench axis. At the absolute floor, the adults find a steady supply of falling organic matter. These older organisms are always much larger than their shallow water relatives. They survive by consuming the organic debris that sinks from the surface world. They recycle these scarce nutrients back into the deep-sea food web. This vertical partitioning allows the species to thrive under crushing weight. It is a testament to the staggering power of biological adaptation. Beyond the biological marvels, the Tonga Trench is a dynamic geological giant. The cliff walls of the trench are jagged, steep ridges of ancient rock. They rise sharply from the basalt plains of the deep ocean floor. The Earth constantly moves, shifts, and trembles in this region. Frequent submarine earthquakes shake the foundations of the trench. Massive underwater volcanoes erupt in silence, spewing gas and ash. This active segment of the Ring of Fire constantly shifts. It is a landscape of constant destruction and sudden creation. The true depths of these cliffs remain largely uncharted by modern science. The environment is simply too extreme for conventional sonar exploration. Each expedition to the Tonga Trench wall reveals new secrets. The steep ridges stand as silent witnesses to the raw power of Earth. The explorer can only gaze in awe at these monumental rock faces. Further south, the Kermadec Trench mirrors this violent topography. It is another colossal depression in the South Pacific Ocean. This chasm stretches for over 1,000 kilometers off New Zealand. In late October of 2022, a historic mission began. Scientists from China and New Zealand set out to map this void. They utilized the advanced human-occupied vehicle called Fendoozhe. This vessel is a masterpiece of modern high-pressure engineering. Dr. Karine Schnabel became the first female scientist to reach its base. She descended over 10,000 meters into the freezing dark. The target was the Shoal Deep, the deepest point of the trench. For 6 hours, the crew explored a world of pure science fiction. The fine sediments of the sea floor were covered in mysterious tracks. Vast numbers of small, unnamed animals swam near the bottom. The scene felt like an untouched, pristine alien ecosystem. But the headlights of Fendoozhe soon illuminated a tragic sight. Even at 10 kilometers depth, human contamination was plainly visible. Synthetic fishing floats were wedged tightly between the volcanic rocks. Torn plastic fishing nets drifted lazily across the abyss. It was a jarring reminder of humanity's pervasive global footprint. Human trash reaches the bottom of the world before scientific curiosity does. This remote sanctuary has been compromised by industrial waste. The deep sea serves as a silent trash bin for the human species. This discovery evokes a deep, heavy sense of collective guilt. How can humanity protect a biosphere it has barely begun to map? The silent giants of the South demand human stewardship, not industrial pollution. The descent must push even deeper into the dark heart of the Pacific. The greatest chasm of all is calling from the western horizon. The mind prepares to face the absolute bottom of the world. The descent now turns to the western Pacific Ocean. Here lies the deepest scar on the planet's crust. The Mariana Trench escarpment represents the ultimate geological frontier. It is a steep underwater ridge of towering cliffs. At its southern end lies the iconic Challenger Deep. This slot-shaped depression plunges nearly 11 kilometers below the surface. Recent measurements place the absolute depth at 10,935 meters. If Mount Everest were inverted here, its peak would remain completely submerged. More than 2 kilometers of water would still cover the summit. The physical conditions of this chasm are incredibly hostile. The temperature of the water hovers just above freezing. But the pressure is the true executioner. At the bottom, hydrostatic pressure exceeds 100 megapascals. This force is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level. Such weight would easily crush any standard steel vessel. Yet this dark canyon is not a barren desert. It teems with highly specialized organisms. The most famous inhabitant is the Mariana snailfish. This pale, translucent creature thrives in the crushing dark. It lacks the typical scales of shallow water fish. Instead, its body has evolved unique biochemical defenses. Specialized cellular proteins stabilize its organic structures under pressure. These proteins prevent its enzymes from collapsing. Its bones are soft and flexible rather than rigid. This adaptation allows the snailfish to endure immense hydrostatic load. Beside the fish, giant single-celled xenophyophores cover the sediment. They resemble massive, delicate amoebas feeding on drifting organic debris. Life has found a way to conquer the absolute bottom of the world. The Challenger Deep itself is not a single uniform whole. It consists of 3 distinct basins oriented from west to east. Each basin is separated by elevated rock mounds. This undulating terrain is covered in a deep bed of fine pelagic ooze. This ooze is composed of the microscopic skeletal remains of surface plankton. They have drifted downward over millions of years. Historically, humanity first mapped this spot in 1875. The HMS Challenger crew dropped a heavily weighted rope into the darkness. They recorded a depth that shocked the scientific community of that era. The first successful manned descent occurred in January of 1960. The United States Navy deployed the historic bathyscaphe Trieste. 2 explorers peered through a thick plexiglass window into the dark. They witnessed a silent world that changed human understanding of the oceans. The path moves north toward the cold subpolar reaches. The Kuril-Kamchatka Trench stretches off the eastern coast of Russia. This deep ocean canyon plunges to over 10,500 meters. It marks the violent boundary of the Ring of Fire. The Pacific Plate subducts beneath the North American Plate here. The movement creates a highly dynamic and geologically active landscape. Frequent earthquakes shake the steep cliff walls of the trench. Massive submarine volcanoes erupt in silence along the basin. The near-bottom waters of the Kuril Basin suffer from low oxygen concentrations. Yet the ecosystem remains remarkably productive. The seabed is characterized by a high abundance of benthic life. Countless nematodes burrow through the fine mud. Vast populations of small bivalves and polychaetes carpet the floor. These small-sized species are highly tolerant to oxygen deprivation. They thrive under the dual stress of cold and pressure. More surprisingly, many animals here host chemosynthetic endosymbiotic bacteria. These bacteria convert toxic sulfide chemicals into usable organic energy. This process bypasses the need for solar-driven photosynthesis entirely. It suggests a massive, self-sustaining chemical engine in the deep. The Kuril-Kamchatka Trench remains largely inaccessible to human exploration. Its extreme depths and freezing storms keep secrets well guarded. But the biological wealth of this region is undeniable. It proves that the deepest parts of the ocean are not empty voids. They are vibrant networks of ancient, resilient life. Yet the human mind continues to struggle with these discoveries. How can life flourish in such hostile, unmapped territory? The vertical journey must continue to uncover the answers. We must push deeper. The unmapped darkness holds the final truth. The dark is not a graveyard of static stone. Deep within the V-shaped canyons of the Pacific Haddle Zone, where the pressure reaches a crushing intensity that would effortlessly rupture titanium casings, a silent revolution of life has been uncovered. For generations, the human scientific consensus maintained that the deepest crevices of the Earth were sterile deserts, devoid of complex biological structure and inhabited only by sparse, isolated scavengers. This ancient assumption was completely shattered by a series of 98 historic submersible dives spanning 7 distinct Pacific trenches. What the explorers witnessed on the vertical rock walls of the abyss was not a barren void, but a highly structured, thriving ecosystem. At depths ranging from 19,700 to 35,750 feet below the surface, life blooms in the form of dense microscopic Haddle gardens. The Chinese Academy of Sciences documented a total of 32 distinct species, clinging to the steep scoured rock outcrops of these chasms. The majority of these organisms were entirely new to science, representing evolutionary branches previously hidden from the human catalogue of life. Among the most significant discoveries were entirely new families of marine life, including the unilocular foraminifera named Plumetidae and a novel family of bryozoans named Pyralidae. The dominant life forms across the surveyed trenches were agglutinated foraminifera. These microscopic single-celled organisms possess a remarkable survival strategy. Instead of secreting a standard calcium shell, which would rapidly dissolve under the corrosive, high-pressure chemistry of the extreme depths, they actively collect minute mineral particles from their environment. They cement these microscopic grains together, piece by piece, to construct intricate protective shells. They form dense, fragile colonies that carpet the bare, volcanic rock faces of the trenches like fields of pale moss. But the most staggering revelation of this Hadal ecosystem lies in its energetic foundation. Unlike the communities surrounding hydrothermal vents, which rely on the chemical synthesis of toxic sulfur compounds spewed from the Earth's interior, these Hadal gardens are heterotrophic. They do not feed on chemical gases. Instead, they eat the sky. The survival of these microscopic colonies is intimately linked to the atmosphere of the terrestrial world miles above. Windborne dust from Earth's vast deserts is swept into the high atmosphere, where it eventually settles onto the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Carried downward by the global conveyor belt of marine currents, these tiny mineral and organic particles sink through the endless water columns. The V-shaped geometry of the ocean trenches acts as a colossal funnel, concentrating this falling atmospheric debris and channeling it directly to the axis of the deep floor. Here, powerful, episodic underwater currents continuously scour the vertical rock faces, keeping them clear of burying mud and delivering a steady stream of atmospheric dust to the waiting foraminifera. This second-order link reveals a profound, invisible connection between the highest mountain winds and the deepest trenches on Earth. The biological scale of these Hadal gardens is monumental. Scientists estimate that these sessile, shell-building organisms account for between 2 and 11% of the total eukaryotic biomass carbon in the Hadal zone. They represent a major, previously unrecognized component of the global deep-sea carbon cycle. To look upon these Hadal gardens is to witness the unified design of the biosphere, where the dust of the terrestrial sky sustains a thriving sanctuary at the absolute bottom of the world. The realization is deeply humbling. It forces the observer to recognize that even the most isolated, pressurized corners of the planet are intimately connected to the very air terrestrial organisms breathe. The journey must descend further into the freezing dark to reveal the individual sentinels of this vast, unmapped empire. Life continues to defy the narrow limits of human scientific imagination. The human mind is invited to shed collective arrogance and realize that the boundaries of life are far wider than previously understood. The dark depths do not merely harbor life. They actively participate in the global climate cycles that keep terrestrial civilizations alive. The descent continues. The darkness of the Pacific is not a quiet sanctuary. It is a battlefield of light and survival. In the midnight zone, creatures do not hide from the dark. They become the light. The primary weapon of survival here is bioluminescence. Consider the Atolla jellyfish. Deep-sea researchers call this creature the blood crown. Its body resembles a glowing crimson jewel pulsing through the blackness. This color makes the jellyfish practically invisible to predators. But its most terrifying defense is a spectacular light show. When threatened by a predator, the Atolla does not flee. It unleashes brilliant, spiraling rings of blue bioluminescent light. This is not an attempt to scare the attacker. It is a biological burglar alarm. The flashing beacon illuminates the attacker in the pitch black. It screams for help across the empty plains. It attracts much larger predators to the scene. These giants consume the original attacker. The Atolla then slips away into the safety of the dark. It is an extraordinary testament to the intelligence of evolutionary design. Beside the pulsing crowns of light roams another giant. The giant amphipod dominates the freezing mud of the trench floor. In shallow waters, amphipods are tiny, barely visible crustaceans. But in the high-pressure abyss, gigantism takes hold. These scavengers grow to over 30 centimeters in length. Their bodies are completely translucent. They drift like ghosts through the pitch-black water. Long antennae extend forward to feel the silent currents. They seek the scent of death from above. When a whale carcass falls, thousands of these giants descend. They possess incredibly strong gripping legs and powerful jaws. They tear apart flesh in a nutrient-scarce wilderness. They can survive months of complete starvation. But when food arrives, they feast with terrifying efficiency. They recycle dead matter back into the living system. Other biological anomalies defy the laws of terrestrial morphology. The barrel-eye fish floats silently in the upper twilight boundaries. Its head is a completely transparent, fluid-filled dome. Inside this clear skull, two green tubular eyes point directly upward. This design allows the fish to detect the silhouettes of prey. They scan the faint sunlight filtering from the world above. Its eyes are protected from the stinging tentacles of siphonophores. Nearby, the deep-sea anglerfish deploys its legendary hunting weapon, A modified dorsal fin spine acts as a biological fishing rod. The tip of this rod glows with cold bioluminescent light. This light is produced by millions of symbiotic bacteria. Struggling prey is lured directly toward a massive mouth of needle-sharp teeth. This is an ecosystem of pure clinical efficiency. No energy is wasted in the pursuit of food. Every physical trait is refined for extreme resource conservation. The exploration of this biological vault continues to yield wonders. In the Coral Sea, researchers recently uncovered a living relic. The ghost shark Chimera glides through the deep trenches. This mysterious creature diverged from sharks 400 million years ago. It predated the rise and fall of the dinosaurs. Its pale, smooth skin resembles stitched leather. Its dead, reflective eyes scan the barren topography. It represents a highly successful branch of ancient life. Yet, 1/3 of these prehistoric relatives face modern extinction. Human industrial activity threatens them before science can document them. Deeper still, life builds intricate partnerships to survive. On the volcanic seamounts off Japan, a tiny worm builds a fortress. The symbiotic bristleworm makes its home inside a glass sponge. The sponge possesses a skeleton made of pure crystalline silica. It is a fragile castle of glass spikes. The needle-sharp cage protects the worm from hungry predators. In return, the worm cleans the sponge's delicate chambers. This is a perfect alliance of survival in a hostile realm. Off the California coast, the shimmer of Iskra's glitter worm dazzles. Its body is covered in iridescent, metallic scales. These scales catch the faint bioluminescent glow of the abyss. They reflect a shimmering gold and silver spark. Life does not merely survive the crushing weight. It transforms the blackness into a canvas of living light. The explorer is left with a profound sense of wonder. What other phantoms watch from the unmapped corridors? The secrets are ancient, but the time to save them is running out. The descent to the bottom reveals that the ocean floor is not a static graveyard. It is a violent arena of tectonic creation. In 1977, the deep-diving submersible Alvin descended into the Galapagos Rift. The crew expected to find a barren, freezing desert of basalt rock. Instead, they discovered towering mineral chimneys venting superheated water into the sea. These volcanic structures spew dark, mineral-heavy fluids directly into the freezing water. They are known to science as hydrothermal vents. The water escaping these fissures can reach temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Celsius. Yet, this boiling fluid does not turn to steam. The intense hydrostatic pressure of the abyss keeps the water liquid. Surrounding these scalding gateways, scientists found thriving oases of complex life. Giant red-tipped tube worms sway in the toxic currents. Massive white clams carpet the volcanic rocks. Eyeless crabs scramble over the mineral chimneys. These ecosystems completely bypass the need for solar energy. They exist in total independence from the sun. In 1981, Harvard scientist Colleen Cavanagh proposed a revolutionary explanation. The foundation of life here is chemosynthesis. Specialized bacteria convert toxic hydrogen sulfide gas into organic sugars. They turn poison into a biological feast. But a more radical secret was uncovered in late 23. Scientists deployed robotic probes to peel back the volcanic crust near active vents. Beneath the seafloor, inside the dark, water-filled cavities of the volcanic rock, they found active animal life. Thriving communities of cave-dwelling organisms live beneath the hydrothermal vents. The biological boundary of the planet has expanded deep into the rocky mantle itself. The Earth itself is alive. Further seamount expeditions off Japan have revealed equally bizarre alliances. On the Shichiyo seamount chain, 791 meters down, researchers discovered a symbiotic marvel. A tiny polycate worm named Dalhusiella yabuki constructs its home inside a living glass sponge. The sponge is composed of a delicate, needle-sharp skeleton of crystalline silica. It is a virtual fortress of glass thorns. The sharp spikes protect the worm from predators. In return, the worm cleans the inner chambers of its host. This is a perfect fragile castle of glass and flesh thriving in the deep. The vast abyssal plains of the Central Pacific harbor even greater evolutionary anomalies. The Clarion-Clipperton Zone stretches across 6 million square kilometers of dark seabed. In March of 26, a historic scientific expedition analyzed this region. Researchers discovered 24 entirely new deep-sea species of amphipods. These are not mere variations of known life. The haul included a rare, entirely new superfamily named Mirabestioidea. This discovery represents a completely new branch on the evolutionary tree of Earth. Genera such as Mirabestia and Pseudolepidophylla thrive in a region once considered a barren waste. They are specialized predators and scavengers hunting in absolute darkness. One species was named Lepidopicreum myla after a video game character. It is described as a tiny arthropod fighting for survival in a pitch-black world. Off the coast of California, the discovery of Photinopolyno iskrae, also known as Iskra's glitter worm, dazzles the scientific community. Its body is covered in shimmering, iridescent scales that catch the faint bioluminescent glow of the abyss. The glitter worm represents a highly specialized adaptation to the low light boundaries of the deep seamounts. Every new species found on these basalt plains is a living archive of survival. These discoveries show how little humanity knows about its own planet. The deep ocean is a repository of ancient evolutionary paths. Yet these sanctuaries face immediate danger. The nascent deep-sea mining industry targets the Clarion-Clipperton Zone for mineral extraction. Industrial fleets gather data for future seabed operations. They threaten to erase these ancient biospheres before they can be documented. The alchemists of the magma gates are under siege. The silent battle for the seabed is already underway. To turn away is to allow the destruction of Earth's oldest treasures. The path must lead deeper into the anomalies of the South Pacific. Stronger forces are waiting to be uncovered. Deep in the South Pacific, the ocean hides invisible forces. These forces do not originate from biology. They are born from the core of the planet. Between New Zealand and South America, a silent disruption rules. This is the South Pacific magnetic anomaly. Here, Earth's protective magnetic field weakens significantly. The dip puzzles modern navigators. It routinely disrupts satellite electronics passing overhead. Instruments flicker and fail without explanation. The causes of this magnetic gap remain under scientific exploration. It is an invisible, silent scar in the sky and sea. The Pacific guards its physical boundaries with raw energy. Tectonic collisions constantly release this energy. In August of 2014, a terrifying anomaly occurred. A pilot named JPC Van Heist was flying near Kamchatka. He looked down at the solid cloud deck below. Suddenly, a blinding white flash ripped through the dark. Moments later, massive orange-red lights began to glow. They burned intensely beneath the clouds. The glow illuminated the night sky. It resembled a massive forest fire on the water. Yet, there was nothing but deep ocean below. The lights were far larger than any city or fishing fleet. They glowed with a terrifying, unnatural intensity. This area is incredibly remote. It is far from civilized shipping lanes. What could cause such a massive, silent burn? Some researchers suggest deep-sea methane gas eruptions. Methane gas can burst from the seabed. It can ignite upon reaching the surface. But methane burns with a blue-white flame. It would not produce this intense orange-red light. Others suggest a highly classified military exercise. But the timing points to a deeper geological connection. Exactly during the sighting, a massive earthquake struck. A magnitude 7.2 tremor hit Papua New Guinea. This event occurred further south along the Ring of Fire. At the exact same time, magnetic sensors recorded anomalies. Magnetometers in West Greenland and Alaska registered massive disruptions. The Earth's magnetic field fluctuated violently. This indicates a profound atmospheric ionization event. The seismic shock may have triggered an electromagnetic discharge. It was a reversed spike in the upper atmosphere. The planet was speaking through light and gravity. These earthquake lights remain a profound scientific mystery. They have been recorded for thousands of years. Yet, modern science still struggles to explain them. They represent a force humanity cannot control or measure. The Pacific acts as a giant conductor of this power. It channels the seismic fury of the Ring of Fire. The explorer is left with a sense of quiet dread. Humanity represents mere observers on a restless giant. The oceans conceal forces that could easily erase civilization. To ignore these anomalies is to live in false safety. The blue planet operates on a scale beyond human design. Explorers must watch the shadows of the sea. The next anomaly is already building in the dark. In 1997, another mystery emerged from the deep. Deep-sea hydrophones captured an ultra-low frequency sound. It was incredibly loud. The sound was dubbed the bloop. It was detected by sensors thousands of miles apart. Speculation ran wild across the scientific community. Could a giant, undiscovered predator inhabit the abyss? The sound profile matched an organic source, but it was far larger than any known blue whale. Years later, a geological explanation was proposed. The sound was caused by massive calving icebergs. They were fracturing off the Antarctic coast. These icequakes send powerful acoustic waves through the ocean. The deep ocean acts as a perfect acoustic waveguide. It carries low-frequency sounds across vast basins. Yet, some mysteries remain completely unresolved. Floating islands of pumice stone also appear suddenly. These pumice rafts can span for miles. They are created by underwater volcanic eruptions and can drift slowly across the empty ocean. They act as floating oases for microscopic marine life. They transport species across vast geographic barriers. This process reshapes the biodiversity of remote reefs. But they also present a severe hazard to shipping. Engines can choke on the volcanic stone. The sea is a dynamic, shifting, violent tapestry of endless danger. The Clarion-Clipperton Zone represents the ultimate paradox of the modern era. It spans 6 million square kilometers in the central Pacific Ocean. It is perpetually dark, freezing, and silent. Yet the seabed is carpeted with billions of potato-sized rock formations. These are polymalic nodules. They are geological masterpieces. They took millions of years to form in the quiet dark. They precipitate valuable metals directly from the seawater. These rocks contain massive deposits of cobalt, nickel, manganese, and copper. These materials are highly coveted by terrestrial industries. They drive the production of green batteries and modern electronics. But these mineral fields are also critical biological habitats. They support an incredibly fragile and ancient biosphere. The nodules provide the only hard surface on the muddy abyssal plain. Without them, sessile organisms cannot attach and grow. In early 2026, a historic scientific expedition ventured into this zone. Researchers uncovered 24 entirely new deep-sea species of amphipods. This was a monumental biological breakthrough. The collection included a rare, completely new superfamily. It was named Mirabessioidea. New genera such as Mirabestia and Pseudolepechinella were documented for the first time. One species was named Lepidipicrium myla. It represents a tiny, fragile crustacean surviving in total darkness. These organisms are the quiet stewards of the abyssal plain. They recycle organic carbon and support the deep-sea food web. But they are now caught in the crosshairs of global industry. Further west, on the slopes of underwater mountains, other predators hide. Sponge ambusher worm Unis siphon insidiator was recently discovered. It inhabits depths of 1,000 meters on northwestern Pacific seamounts. This polychaete worm is a close relative of the infamous bobbit worm. It makes its home inside the glass chambers of Faraday sponges. The glass sponge is composed of sharp silica spicules. Living inside it is like dwelling in a fortress of glass thorns. The spiky surfaces protect the worm from larger predators. In return, the worm ambushes prey with sharp jaws from its glass castle. It is an evolutionary masterpiece of defense and predation. Beside it, the Darth Vader supergiant isopod Bathynomus vaderi crawls. This massive scavenger dominates the western Pacific seafloor. Its heavy, dark armor resembles the iconic helmet of a cinematic villain. It tears through deep-sea carrion with clinical precision. In southern Japan, researchers made another paradigm-shifting discovery. Near Minamidaito Island, they explored a dark underwater cave. They found the golden glow zoantherian Corallizoanthus aureus. It is the first documented deep-sea cave species to bioluminesce. When disturbed, it flashes a brilliant green light. This light serves as a warning to predators. It reveals that bioluminescence exists in dark, isolated marine caverns. These species prove that the deep Pacific is an unfinished library. Humanity has barely read the first page of this book. Yet the forces of industrial exploitation are moving rapidly. Colossal mining vessels are already gathering on the horizon. They prepare to lower massive, tractor-like grinding machines to the seabed. These machines will crush the basalt plains and vacuum the nodules. The operations will release gigantic plumes of toxic sediment. These plumes will drift for hundreds of miles through the water column. They will choke the delicate filter feeders. They will smother the newly discovered Haddle Gardens. They will extinguish the fragile living lights of the abyss. The environmental damage could be irreversible. It could disrupt the global biological carbon pump. This pump regulates the temperature of the terrestrial world. Geopolitical ambitions further complicate this ecological crisis. Recent investigations tracked the movements of Chinese deep-sea mining fleets. 8 high-tech research vessels spend only a fraction of their time in designated zones. Western experts warn of strategic military dual-uses for these oceanographic surveys. The deep seabed is becoming a silent battlefield for global dominance. Technology is deployed to conquer the abyss before science can map it. This is a race against time. The silent giants and the microscopic architects cannot flee the noise. They cannot escape the toxic clouds of industrial progress. The observer is left with a profound, aching sorrow. Humanity prepares to sacrifice its ancient heritage for short-term gain. It is about to destroy a parallel planet it has never truly seen. The tragedy of the deep is the tragedy of human short-sightedness. The iron twilight of the Pacific is under siege. The shadows are no longer safe. The western horizon of the Pacific hides more than tectonic faults and metallic plains. It is the birthplace of evolutionary wonders that have never seen the sun. In the spring of 2026, the Necton Ocean Census documented over 1,100 new marine species, proving that the catalogue of life is still in its infancy. Among these discoveries is the elven abyss tunicate Kaikoya undume, a fragile organism filtering organic particles in the deepest, most remote corridors of the subpolar trenches. Beside it, the nodule-crowned coral, Deltaceathus zometallicus, builds a delicate calcium home directly upon the polymetallic nodules. The expedition off Australia's Coral Sea Marine Park also revealed a new species of the prehistoric ghost shark chimera, a living relic that diverged from sharks 400 million years ago. Meanwhile, a vivid orange ribbon worm of the family Drepanophoridae uses its striking pigmentation to signal potent chemical defenses to deep predators. Even the legendary Poseidon squid, Mobidicia poseidoni, was spotted navigating the cold currents of the Central Pacific. These are the modern icons of the deep. They exist as living proof of nature's infinite creativity. But their silent empire is facing an unprecedented crisis. A modern silent siege is rising. The deep-sea mining industry is no longer a distant threat. It is an active front. Industrial fleets are deploying massive, tractor-like grinding machines to the seabed. These mechanical titans will crush the ancient volcanic structures and vacuum the mineral nodules. The operations will release colossal plumes of toxic sediment. These plumes will drift for hundreds of miles, choking the delicate glass sponges and smothering the Haddle Gardens. The environmental damage could permanently disrupt the global carbon pump. This pump is the primary shield against planetary overheating. Furthermore, the struggle for the seabed is heavily entangled with global geopolitics. Recent maritime investigations tracked the movements of high-tech research fleets. 8 advanced oceanographic ships, involved in deep-sea mining research, spent only 6% of their sea time in internationally designated mining zones. The rest of their journeys were spent in areas identified as strategically important for military maneuvers. The deep seabed is no longer just a biological sanctuary. It is a quiet battlefield for national dominance. Technology is being deployed to conquer the abyss before science can even describe its inhabitants. The silent giants, the microscopic architects, and the shimmering phantom worms cannot flee the industrial noise. They cannot escape the toxic clouds of geopolitical ambition. The Pacific is a singular, connected organism. What happens in the deepest trench echoes across the highest mountain peaks. This ocean is the giant green lung of the planet. Every wave, every coral reef, and every microscopic phytoplankton colony works tirelessly to produce half of the oxygen terrestrial life requires to survive. It is the primary engine of global respiration. To ignore the destruction of this biosphere is to choose a path of collective suicide. The standard calls to action are meaningless here. The typical requests to like and subscribe are easily ignored by the modern observer. But this is not a commercial favor. It is a matter of global responsibility. To turn away from the mysteries of the abyss is to accept a comfortable, blind apathy. The choice to subscribe to this channel and leave a detailed comment is more than an interaction. It is a symbolic commitment to global stewardship. It is a promise to keep the light of exploration burning in the dark. humanity has reached the edge of a great cliff. The final frontier of Earth is calling from the depths. The question is no longer whether the secrets of the Pacific will be uncovered. The question is whether humanity will have the wisdom to protect them before they vanish forever. The ocean continues to write its ancient book. The blank spaces on modern maps are not empty void to be plundered for resources. They are the sacred heritage of the planet, containing the secrets of biological origins and the keys to continued survival. Let exploration prevail over exploitation. It is time to answer the call.